welcome to the Lightbringers Podcast, episode 22 of season 3. There is no rhyme or reason as to why there are 3 seasons and why there are 22 episodes. That's actually true. Wait. Season 4 is going to be the next expansion. I'm pretty sure, actually, while I work things out and actually transition the scene. As I talk to myself. Well, I have guests here, so I don't need to talk to myself. Look at us doing things in the world.
Jeb, I'm so proud of you. You made it through the intro. I didn't even heckle you, you know? Boots isn't here to heckle you, just kind of waited and you did it. And I'm, great job.
Normally it's fine, as long as I don't get heckled. We don't need heckling in this podcast. I've got that enough from my own head.
We did like a little.
I mean, that heckling, yeah.
Playful heckling.
Okay. We haven't got the master of derailment here this week. But we do have Rookery and we have Fornex. Sorry, Fornex, what?
Much missed. Boots is always missed. He's lovely.
Yes.
Oh,
it's very naughty. Very, yeah.
Like, what's he missing?
What? No.
I mean, actually.
Sometimes. I mean.
What? Sometimes what? What is he missing?
This is
going to say something.
This is what we're missing today. We're missing the either interruptive or playful banter of Kroof or Boots interchangeably.
True.
So here we are just sitting like deer in the headlights. Like normally this is where we'd get some totally off the wall comment, but here we are now.
I know, welcome to a conversation which may flow normally. Actually, which is odd because like the 2 people with ADHD are here, and like we're sitting here with like, but yet we are not the ones who derail conversations more often than not.
True. But when you said that, I was looking down at my notes. I got distracted by my notes, and I completely missed what you. Carry on. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Okay.
The key is just that Fornax, whenever she's not interrupting, she's just like completely on another plane of existence, not even listening to what's being said.
Well, because I kind of normally guide things, like if it's off the rails, then it's fine because people just think it's natural, like kind of movement towards a thing, right? So it's totally fine and okay. But yes, this is episode 22. We have got so many episodes out, it's actually wild. I'm making sure that we're in the right direction because sometimes I mess that up. Oh no, it's okay. We are in the right place. Good. Today we're going to be talking about... Actually, wait, let's do an intro first. Fornex, tell us what you do, where you do it. I forgot.
Oh God! Hey,
oh
I'm
God!
Fornex.
Did you forget what I said?
Distracted again. I was looking at my notes again, and.
Do you need notes somewhere you do things?
Sometimes, yeah. No, for the subject that we're going to be talking about. No spoilers, but I've just been writing notes about that. Anyway, hey,
you're
Fornex.
doing notes during the show? Oh my God!
Homework.
You do?
Oh God.
That's wonderful. Well done.
Wow, Fornex gets a way better grade than all the rest of us in this class. Are you kidding me? I didn't even realize we were supposed to be taking notes. Is there going to be a test? When do
I think they're actually doing notes because
I'm taking notes now. This will be on the
take this podcast seriously, Rook. Okay? Not like everyone else on it. God.
Oh God.
Boots doesn't even know there's a document each week for where there isn't this week. But like on the notes, and it's like, what are we talking about? Like, dude, there's a whole document. I like 3 pages of notes I've read. Sometimes. Like, there is no doc. Yeah. It's okay, Rick. You don't have to find the doc.
One time when we were doing a live stream, I sent Rookery like 17,000 pictures from a book that I had. I think that I just baked her brain. Do you remember that? Sorry.
Oh, it was so good. You didn't bake. Are you kidding me? Bake my brain any day, Fornax. I loved it. I was like, yes, more. Give me more. It's so good. I love that.
And we didn't use one page.
We didn't use a single page.
We did not. It's fine.
It was there for us to reference, to refer to. Yeah. That's what matters.
It's nice to have backup stuff. And that's what I do whenever I'm doing a presentation or something. I'm just like, it's there and I didn't use it, but I feel better that I had it. It's like comfort. Research.
Offerings to the law gods. That was what it was.
Okay, I see.
On my channel at the moment, there's a couple of videos up about Guild Wars 3. So there's a TLDR of what happened and the ArenaNet studio response, which was spoilers and not talking about it, and also what I would like to see in Guild Wars 3. So it's a huge, like, 30-minute video of all the features and things that I like to see, things that I want to go away, and that kind of thing. So do check that out. It's quite fun. People are a bit annoyed with me, so hooray! Join in the comments. Again.
Nailed it.
How?
I don't know.
I'm just going on to the...
I didn't even talk about capitalism. It was, I don't know. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. But it was
I'm
fine.
I'm looking at the comments. No one is mad at you. What are you talking about?
You didn't see the ones that are hidden.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I've
what,
given up on
Fornax?
the hidden things now. I'm just like, oh, who cares anymore?
Honestly, I think that if things you are saying are inciting conversation, even if some of that conversation is very strong in the reactions that are happening, then you're doing it. You're hitting the algorithm.
Oh my
Every
God.
interaction just benefits you. And that's
Yeah.
the main thing, you know?
The last
Hit that
comment.
dislike button at least twice, guys. That's what you need to do.
The last comment on the video is elves, not effing plants.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, for
Right,
Guild Wars
calm
3.
down.
It's the spicy meatball, people. Yeah, it's like...
It's so
Looks
funny to
very
me
spicy.
because Guild Wars 3 is such a thing that, I mean, we did an episode on it recently, right? And we talked
Yeah.
about it, but it's such a thing that so many people have talked about or theorized about or whatever it is for so long. And I think a lot of people have put all these weird hopes or like things that I would expect to be in Guild Wars 3, and one day when it releases, it'll solve every problem. And so I just feel like people have these really strong feelings about Guild Wars 3, even though at this point it's still like basically a hypothetical, barely a real confirmed thing, and like is not, as far as we know, deep into development. So I mean, of course it's something that will keep evolving, but the community has been a little bit riled up about it. So it's not just you, Fornax, or just your opinions on it. I'm sure everybody is just like hitting up any place they can, Reddit, wherever. Like if they're gonna go in and just like rant about stuff, they're probably doing it everywhere.
Someone
Yeah,
might have
it's
drawn
super-
Guild Wars 3
super
on a piece of
emotive.
paper, maybe. Just to see what the logo might look like. Just to free as a
I mean,
dragon.
what it looked like really on the meeting was just ass covering by an executive who's like fallen down a bit. He's made some mistakes and he's trying to cover his butt to try and, say no, profits are always going to go up, pyramid scheme, like honest promises. And they've just chucked ArenaNet under the bus with Guild Wars 3 comment. And that is just the worst way to possible to announce a new game. It's just awful. The guy is just a silly person.
I mean,
Anyway.
yeah, that's what I wrote on my notes, right? I was like, so the TLDR is basically guy effed up, needed something to not F up, said Guild Wars 3 lol, or something like that. Put in our notes from the other way. I was just like, oh, good stuff. Anyway, Fornax's YouTube, go check it out, please. It's massively appreciated. Or Google the Crown Herald, GW2. You'll find all their bits and bobs. Or just YouTube videos, one of the two. Rookery, tell us what you do and how you do it.
Sure, yeah. When I'm not leaving inflammatory comments about Guild Wars 3 and Fornax's comments, I am...
Wait,
Kidding,
did
that's
you?
not me.
You're the
That's
elf
not me.
person. You're the elf comment.
No.
Now we know. Oh no.
You can find me on my channel over on Twitch. That's Rookery, ROOKURI. You can also find me on YouTube at the same, and you can find me over on Twitter at Rookery_. With a little bit of the patch content lull with Guild Wars 2, I haven't been playing it quite as much recently, but we'll be jumping back in and getting more. We've been doing a bit of a Final Fantasy IX playthrough because I'd never played it before, and it's been a really wonderful journey. We've been, jumping in for whatever content kind of pops up, whereas we have our MMO news, but of course we're going to be heading into expansion releases for pretty much all of our favorite MMOs. I think almost every major MMO has an expansion coming out this year. So we're about to head into some really hectic months. And if I'm not doing just playthroughs or content or things on my channels, you'll be able to find me on this podcast, on Aetherite Radio for 14, as well as on a variety of different events for different games. So keep an eye out, because on all of my socials and things like that, I'll be sure to promote any special events or casting and other things I'll be doing for all of this hype that's about to hit us.
Yeah, the hype. So make sure you check out all of their stuff and the things and the streams that are happening as well. Are you streaming? Wait, how many days a week? When are you streaming? Weekends?
I usually stream
Mondays?
2 to 3 days a week. So usually Wednesday and Thursday on my own channel, and then either Friday or Saturday, but like depending on if we have podcasts or not, because Fridays I usually do this one, and Saturdays I'm over on Aetheryte Radio, and then bonus events are kind of scheduled in additional days. So
nice. So do the things. Otherwise, you can also check out everyone's links in the description. Make sure if you're going to purchase the game or you're new to Guild Wars 2, let you follow and use those links to help purchase all the things. Sorry, Krisha's here and needs a pet really quickly. Yes, that's right. Everything in the world must stop for you, my darling. So
A little bit of gratuitous pussy petting. Yes.
Bloody hell.
Pussy.
And if you want to follow this podcast more closely, you can go and check us out on Spotify and all the other things. Just do Lightbringers GW2 podcast, or go to youtube.com/Jebro, and you can find the recordings on YouTube as well as the video, and also on Spotify, and also on iTunes, and also on tons of stuff. Chuck us a little review, massively helps spread the word about the podcast. We are one of the biggest Guild Wars 2 podcasts out there, so muchly appreciated if you check us out. We always get a lot of love from our community of peeps. They do enjoy our banter and they enjoy the content we produce. So if you have friends that may appreciate our humor as well, we would appreciate you sharing it with them. And today, I didn't know Twitch allowed that thing happening. Yeah, probably don't. I mean, to be fair, there's probably someone inventing a meta somewhere where you can do it. Honestly, when Twitch is trying to, just like, I mean, anything goes, really. I mean, they're trying hard, I guess. I know. It's okay, I'll be fine. So, this past week, actually, I don't even have there was an actual blog post for the
There was an actual blog post. I can send that your way, Jeb. I'll send it your way. Yeah, we had a blog post and a new feature implemented in Guild Wars 2 this past week. The quality of life feature, Cosmetic Inspection.
Yes, where you can inspect people and their bits and bobs that they're wearing. Nothing else on top of that. It's quite cool, actually. Again, they're kind of going with the videos, making the videos about everything they put out onto the store ever as well. And they actually make videos about the content they put in the game. It's so good. They're just continuing to do this. We were talking about this forever as something they should be doing. We've been talking about this, I swear, since the podcast started. But like, I'm always a proponent of video over text, especially now. Like, well, in addition to, sorry, not just a video, because text is good. But like, it's good. It just explains the feature. You can click on a person, you right click their portrait, you go to the top, you go to inspect, and you can see all their dice, you can see their gear, you can see their weapons. You can't see their infusions though, which is something Fornax mentioned earlier. How are we feeling about this? Good feature? Bad feature? Terrible? Get rid of it?
I love this.
Okay.
And I realize I've just said the most controversial thing I've ever said on this podcast, judging by the community's reaction to this new feature this week. No, I love this. But what's so funny to me is that I think we have seen a pretty big divide in players who either play other MMOs or who don't play other MMOs because of this feature. Because every other MMO that I play already allows you to do this and has allowed you to do this for years. And so them adding it to Guild Wars 2, I'm just like, oh, cool. They're adding a thing that you can do in every other game that I play. And that always felt like it was kind of strange that you couldn't do in Guild Wars 2 for me. But the community has had a very mixed reaction. And some folks, I think, have had really strong reactions against this, with not wanting people to be able to look at how they have composed their fashion wars in game. Because they feel like people are going to steal it or steal their looks or things like that. I personally think this is fantastic. I think one of the biggest things in Guild Wars 2 that is kind of a problem that we've even talked about on this podcast, right, is that you don't always know up front what all gear there is in this game. Just honestly, like because things are tucked behind achievements, because they're tucked behind whatever grind on this thing or this map or whatever, multi-tier upgrade you have to do for this thing or for this collection or for, there's a lot of times that even I, like with all of us doing the podcast and everything else, I'll lose track of some new gear that's been introduced. There were all these sets of gear that came from the rifts that I didn't even know were in the game until like somebody pointed them out. And I was like, oh, hey, that's such a cool thing. I actually want to do rifts now. I want to try and get this, right? So for me, I think that this feature not only allows other people to kind of see and admire and then be like, oh, I really like this combination. This is a really well done look, but also allows people to discover the things that are in the game and then be able to go and look those things up by their name and then be introduced to a whole new facet of content or something else or a grind or a new thing to work towards that they didn't even realize might have been in there at first.
Yeah.
Go on, next.
I absolutely agree. No, so I understand that people want to have the option to opt out, which I think should be a thing. Obviously, privacy is important, and I think a lot of people appreciated when the game first happened in vanilla that there wasn't any inspect function, which was a paradigm shift, really, because every other MMO, as Rook said, has had this facility. And it didn't just show your armor, it showed everything. You could inspect people's achievements, you can inspect what you could see what quests they were on almost, and item levels and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, you can really go into it. But I think it should be an opt-in. I think there should be a checklist to say if you want to opt in or out. I personally, I share a lot of my fashion wars, and I do get a lot of requests for what dyes I'm using and things quite often, and I will forget, so this is super handy for me, to be honest. But I like it. The addition of infusions would be lovely, but I as a quality of life thing, as an interesting, oh goodness, that is so beautiful, what is this person wearing? I like it, but I think that, especially because it's something that they've introduced new, I think that there should be an opt-out option, although I can understand. For me, it's not an issue, but I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. I don't want to live and let live,
I know.
Yeah, it's funny to me because I guess I agree that like having something like being able to opt in or out would be nice just from the standpoint of feeling like, sure, maybe you have some control or ownership over what you want to present or have be visible in the game. But it's interesting to me because I think the big kind of contradiction with that is the fact that we are in an MMORPG. And I think a big part of being in an MMO is the fact that you are perceivable by other players, right? Whether or not you want to run a bunch of content with people or things like that, you have an avatar that is visible in the world and that people will perceive within that world. And a big motivating factor in MMOs is the fashion or the glamour or the looks or the prestige of what you are showing off or the way that you choose to represent yourself in that world. Now, like some people will get super into that and go really heavy into it, and some people won't. So like on one hand, I get that maybe the way you present yourself is something that you feel really deeply connected to, and you don't want necessarily other people to just see that and be like, I want to be that too, I guess. But it also feels really contradictory to me because just by the nature of being in an MMORPG, whether or not there's an inspect feature, there's still nothing to stop somebody from taking a screenshot of your character, posting it in a Discord, and then saying, what's this gear? I like this gear this person is wearing. Does anybody know? Yeah. So for me, it's sort of one of those things where it just streamlines the process and makes it so that people can more readily see it. But it's not something like the people that have been really over the top upset about this. I've been kind of baffled, honestly, because it's just not to disrespect anybody's feelings, but it's been so funny to like so strange to me to see this like evoke such a strong response from the community, some of the community, not all of the community. When just by nature in an MMO, we are perceived by others at all times, you know, and many times with our avatar and how it's presented. And there is nothing that will stop anyone from just emulating your look if they really want to. I don't, you know, it's, I don't know.
It's. I've just noticed you can actually, if you're wearing an outfit, I've just popped an outfit on. There's a slot above so that you can see what outfits people are wearing as well.
Yeah.
Let
me click on you.
Yeah. I mean,
Ooh.
I was just so unaware of this feature. I literally, guys, I haven't been on Guild Wars since Guild Missions last week. I didn't even notice that this happened. The guys are like, have you been living under a rock? I'm like,
Folex didn't know what we're talking about until literally we were live.
Honestly, they're like, we're going to talk about Fashion Wars. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Amazing.
I don't know. I mean, but... yeah, I don't know. I think that because it hasn't been a feature before, because it's something that they've introduced and it was literally excluded, I can understand why people are a bit like, oh, well, I'd like to have a say. So, yeah, I guess, but this is not something I would personally get upset about. But then again, you know.
Yeah, I mean...
there are other things that I get upset about.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
you know.
there's way more important things in the world people should use their effort towards if they're going to get upset about things. This is not the thing in the world they should be upset about. They should be upset about way more crap in the world that's going on right now. But when people play games and this is their world... and this is a safe space, and I'm going to be all therapist-y, yes I am. Then, you know, and especially where ArenaNet comes from in terms of, you know, respecting people's, you know, all the things, I'm like, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't ship it with the option, honestly. I mean, maybe that is a bit, like, you know, it's not that bad. I don't think there's many people that are moaning about it. I think they're just very loud, as per usual with our community. I also think another section of the community is just really being also very mean as well in terms of how they're looking at it and seeing it, and just like want an excuse to just bash on people, and they start using words like gatekeeping and stuff, and I'm like, dude, people just like maybe don't want you to see their look because they're proud of it, and maybe they don't want to share it, and like, you know, if they want to share it, they can share it in their way, and that's cool. But like Brooke said, you could literally see them in the game. So, like, you know, I mean, it's not gatekeeping unless their whole character is not existing. I mean, you know, it's just so wild to me that people can just, I don't know.
There's kind of the general principle that if you're outside, there is no expectation of privacy, right? You can't walk down the street. But then again, someone can't reach into your, like, rip open your shirt to look at the tag and see whose shirt you're wearing. Okay, so I kind of get it. I kind of get it.
But like,
yeah.
I mean,
we don't want to show our knicker labels to just anybody, okay? It should be on request, perhaps. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, like, someone was saying, that if someone makes and this is some suggestions I saw, if someone has a good look, like, and you record it or something, people can rate it or something like that, and just be like give you so many, like a tick or something, like you have a great fashion look. But then I'm like, oh, that could get really dicey. Like, and people are just getting achievement. Like, I don't know what it would be related to, but it could be. There's some fun little addition, like, you know, the infusions and different things like that could be added. But I think it's a good little surprise, a good little additional thing that is just... I think the option to have a hide would be cool, but I'm not like, it needs to be there. I think it would just be an extra thing, would be nice for folks. Otherwise, I think generally it's just a good addition. Like, it's really not that bad.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree as well. And I mean, it's nice to see more coming out from the team that has been working on these sort of quality of life improvements. Because, even in the blog post, they kind of went through and listed, right, that this is the same team that did Legendary Armory, Wizards Vault, Reintro of Living World Season 1, bonus week events, allied player visual effect toggles, granular post-processing, character selection screen, progress bars for meta achievements, guild hall game, right? Like, there's a bunch of stuff that they listed here. And it really did make me go, like, this team really has done some nice stuff with the game, and I want to just make sure to acknowledge that, because they've been working on a lot of stuff, even filtering options for trading posts, recent rework of gobbler items, all this stuff, right? And seeing them dedicate a team to work on this, even if the things that they're working on are kind of coming out at the pace that they're able to with the team, still has contributed a lot to Guild Wars 2 since this team has been formed. And I mean, with this being added in, I love to see it. I mean, honestly, I'd love to see even like 14 have a dedicated team doing something like this, because even though they roll in other stuff, I was just thinking this was some of the news that dropped with World of Warcraft and their new expansion that's coming up. And I was like, wow, they're adding all these other new things. Yeah, and like all this quality of life. And I was like, we get quality of life stuff with 14, don't get me wrong, but they are much more conservative about the things that they introduce to the game, and much more low-key, and it's much rarer that you see them really tackle or overhaul some of these pain points in interface or other stuff like that. But seeing how Guild Wars 2 and this team has handled it, as well as stuff like this just kind of coming out of nowhere, and like, here we have it. It's not even an expansion release. This team is just working on this stuff and rolling it out as they, finish up the project. And I really think that's been a huge benefit to the game. So I'm really happy to see them continue to do this. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do in the future with other things that they might want to add or tackle.
Yeah. And they go on to that on that article and talk about DX11 and how it's enabled them to bring more lighting and more structure and everything else. So, it just goes to show how one system that we may not realize the benefits. Obviously, we understand the benefits of having DirectX 11 is good, but we forget about all these other things like lighting and everything else that comes along with this, and the other things it can touch. So it's like the lighting, other things it can touch. That was good. Sorry. Thank you for that. What did you say? Well done.
Well done. Good show.
I got a little pat on the back. If you can't see the video, I just pat myself on the back. You might want to go and check us out on Spotify or YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, Bragg, Dras, as well in the chat, when you say, in my opinion, downside of this feature is probably going to close the potential of a player striking potential conversation with someone else by inquiring about their fashion. Now they'll just right-click Inspect Wiki. And there's two ideas. There's two things I have to say about that. One is, realistically, how many times do you get whispered about your fashion look every day? It's probably twice a week, 3 times maybe. And then there's the other side of, like, people are now more isolated in MMORPGs than they've ever been. And I wouldn't say that if someone wants to talk to you about your look, I don't think this is going to stop. I think they may just say your look looks great, hopefully. But you're right. I think to a degree you're right as well. Like, I do whisper people and say, what is this piece? I think I kind of prefer, because Rook made a good point about how, and we've talked about this many times, they don't really tell us about a lot of the gear that comes into the game and looks, right? So, like, if it's on someone, like, maybe, like, and they've got it, like, we can at least go to our wardrobe and then look it up on the wiki or whatever. But, like, it would be even cooler to have, like, and this is a really, really good feature as well. I'll show you. I'll just go back into the game. But you can actually right-click the dyes and you can find it on the trading post. I was like, what? Yeah. That's so good. But,
that's so nice. I love that.
Yeah. So imagine if you could do that with, even if it was like, I would honestly say, if there is a Black Lion... Actually, wait a minute. No, you can't do that. If there was a Black Lion trading company item, they could easily direct people to their store more. And I don't know how people would feel about that, but I would be fine with it. Like if there was a glider or there's a piece of armor and it was like available on the Black Lion Trading Company or something. I don't know. Like, and it links you to it. It would be cool.
Well, I mean,
or it
yeah,
links you to
even-
an achievement or whatever.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Even if it just showed you where to obtain that thing, right?
Yeah.
Or even if it just directly linked you to the wiki of that thing, you know, like so that you could see where it was obtainable or stuff. They already have the integration with wiki in the game. And I have to completely agree with you, Jeb. I've seen in a few places this argument about like this is going to remove or cut back the social aspects of the game and impetus to communicate. And I understand where the concerns are coming from 100% because we have seen, just like you yourself said, right, that like in many MMOs, some of the social features have been kind of diminished or they've been enabling more single player play styles, which is good, but comes with its own drawbacks as well. And I think keeping in mind that MMOs are like a group space and a space where there's the potential for social interaction and for group play is still something that MMOs really need to keep in mind and keep in focus. Even as they introduce these other features that help empower and enable players to play in ways that might suit them or suit the time of day. Maybe nobody else is online or it's a weird off hour or whatever it is, right? Like, I think it's still important. But I will say that just from my own played experience in the game, like several of us brought up, and like I see several people in chat today saying, if you're watching live, that maybe they've been whispered once or twice about their fashion. I have never had anybody ask me about what I'm wearing. Maybe on stream a couple times I've had people ask about a piece or something like that. But it's one of those things where I think if a player wants to tell you that your look looks nice, they'll just tell you. And if they don't want to, then they won't. And in some ways, I actually think this could even enable or empower more conversations, right? Where somebody says, hey, I mean, like I was just saying, right? Like somebody says, hey, I actually have never seen this top in game. I just saw on your character. It looks so cool. Like I really love the look or something, right? Or I would have never thought of using this dye and that dye. They look so good on this top. I really love how you put those two together. So it almost just gives you more information now, where if you want to have those conversations, you can have them with a bit more direction. And I think that if anything, we might even see more people interested in the greater fashion game that can be Guild Wars 2 and more introduced to more of these pieces and these items and these potentials and these possibilities and how dyes look on stuff, so that maybe the fashion scene as a whole will be cultivated even more, right? And like more people will be interested and engaged and actively looking to see what people are kind of wearing and how they can, you know, also look cool and be up there with everybody. I don't think that this is something that like shuts down social components in the game.
No,
that's just my opinion.
I think if they want
a
fashion revolution, they need to get rid of the fashion tax. That's it. That's what they need to do.
Oh yeah, you're talking
get rid of
about
consultation charges.
Yeah, you do not
have
like
an
that.
in-game barber.
But the thing is, what I want you to do right now, Fornax, if you have not logged in since Tuesday, is check the trading post. Check the Black Lion Company, because you can get 5 transmutation charges for free right now.
Hang on, let me find the right button for this. Where is it?
It's still there. Actually, the Forest Archer pack is back in. I'm going to get that. That's all right.
That's my response to that. So yeah.
Did you not get it?
There's a gift icon there. I will click. I will.
You can be distracted for a second. Just get it.
Oh my God.
It's fine. I also need to get that Forest Archer pack, so someone remind me later, because I've been waiting.
Yeah, sure. Grab that later. Yeah.
But like, I just looked at this guy and like, it's not like hectic, like ridiculous fashion or anything. It's just the flash. I'm not sure about the helmet. But like, it looks cool on me, and I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, then maybe just that hat or like the legs or like the boots and stuff. Okay. I love it. Like, it actually makes me sit in game maybe for a little bit longer. Wow, what's going on? No. Some extension just came up for some random app. Wait, what are these people doing? They're just kind of standing there with their same outfits and like, this is cool. Just like, you know, people are doing this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, what? Is that just a pose? What pose is that? What is that? That's so random.
Yeah, that's a pose. Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that existed in the game. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's a brand new thing where I'm just like, where do I get the pose from? So even that could be, you know, something like the pose or the chair they're using, and like so much more.
True.
So there's even
you can really get super nosy.
Oh yeah,
super nosy.
Absolutely.
I mean, in Final Fantasy, you can wander around people's houses if they put it onto public. So you can't touch anything or move anything, but you can have which I personally like really love.
Oh yeah,
I like to do that in real life. So God help them. Yeah. So
you like to do it in real life. That's amazing. I didn't even know these glasses existed. This is like a proper good engineer look. Oh my God, I'm gonna. Should I tell you what I'm gonna do? I'm going to whisper this person, hey, your look is epic. Nice work. There you go. See? Now just be really intentional about how you talk to people and tell them. Like, if you inspect them, maybe give them a shout. Like, you can be the change you want in the world. Don't forget. Like, so you can be that. You can just say, like, you know, you inspect someone and you think something's cool, just give them a whisper. It don't cost you too much time, does it? And, you know, people like a compliment when you give them one, you know, sometimes. But yeah, lovely. What we could do, actually, before we move on, or if we're even going to move on, is talk about what actually is very important from that article that I forgot. And that was this picture. Because it's which we should definitely talk about. Guild Wars 2's next expansion coming later this year. This is the first image. Is it the first image?
As far as I know, it's the first image we've seen teasing anything about the new expansion.
I think so. Fornax, did you see this week?
No.
I was going to say, we didn't know about the fashion stuff, and you didn't see this.
I've been under my rock. Me and my rock have been becoming one with one another. So yeah.
Okay, well, Fornax, this is a sneak peek for you as well. First reactions. What do you think, Fornax? Next expansion. Where is it for a start? What do you think?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say forest.
You're just gonna say in a forest?
We got some forest. I see trees. I mean,
you don't want to go over a region?
I mean, it's really hard to tell here. In Fornax's defense, it looks kind of gloomy. It looks like a forest. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, you can kind of see some trees in the background that sort of look like they could be indicative of a more mountainous region, right? Yeah. So maybe because they're like the tall, I don't know, firs or pines. I'm not sure, the thin, skinny ones that look like they belong on mountains. But it doesn't scream like Pacific Northwest, like Drizzlewood was inspired by. It maybe looks a little bit more like some of the kind of mid-map foresty zones and stuff that we have.
There's a forest area in the
Blood
first...
Legion Charland?
Maybe, but I think it looks a little bit like those trees are in one of the human first zones where there's a ton of like the tree and ent things. What are they called? Oh my God. I can't remember what they're called. But you can go there and kill 5 veterans. That's what you do for your...
The druids.
Oh yeah.
I think so. But like that. But what you're talking about is like maybe it's like maybe more core kind of Tyria area. Maybe. Like
people want to go to the Isle of Janthea. That's where people really would like to go.
Between the humans and the Kchar, maybe. I think maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because, I mean. Granted, it's not like we really saw a preview image for Secrets of the Obscure that was hugely telling in all of the places we would be going, right? But this one is so very neutral. It does look more mundane. It does look like it is somewhere just that is probably on the existing maps that we know are here, as opposed to, like, we're going into the homeland of the demons, or we're going into a magical wizard dimension, or
Wizard dimension. Let's do that one. I like that one. Oh wait, we've done it. Sorry. Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm not really sure about this. Like, does this mean that we are seeing more of a return to familiar places to some degree? I have no idea.
Do I tell you where I think we're going? I've got the map up here. I think we're going up here. This is where I think we're going. Above like Harafi Hinterlands and Lake Doric. I think we're going up here. I think more specifically here.
I can see that. Maybe they decided with this next expansion they want to fill in some of the core map land space that they haven't actually fully expanded on yet, and tell a new story with that.
I think they could. And actually what I think Fornax was saying as well, and maybe I think you were saying a little bit Rook as well, the Blood Legion area over here could be, even if you just look at the kind of colors, I guess, of that image, it's kind of those colors there in the Blood Legion Homelands area. And then also, that's kind of what I'm basing it off, right? It could be the Woodland Cascades. So if you go to Rafi Hinterlands, you've got similar colors down there. And I'm it's not obviously that, I'm not basing all of that. But I would like us to cover the areas of the map that we have. Now, if you think about, you're talking about, Isles of Jamfia? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Jamfia.
You could even say that that is kind of there. That it's north, right? And so maybe we could have a map that leads over towards here for another expansion next year. You could even work your way over towards there, I guess. I don't know. But there's still so much over here. There's still the Maguma Wastes. We haven't even there's more here, above Forsaken Thicket and all that. We've got all of this area here, and I'm are we going to go there?
Yeah.
Or is it just there because the Horn of Maguma, etc., has just been placed there and have kind of got that as a extra area or bit? And I'm even down here, there's the ruins of all. There's a whole part of the map there. There's still stuff Scavenger's Causeway.
There's Dominion of Winds.
What, sorry?
Dominion of Winds.
Dominion
of Winds.
That's right. Where is that? Over here? Is it? No, it's
please! They have been taunting us with Dominion of Winds for 1,000,000 years. Just give it to us.
Yeah. Oh, here.
You did you did that whole. Was it a fractal, or it was a dragon response mission at the gates of it?
Yeah, that's right.
Even more Tengu than ever with End of Dragons. I would love to see them fill in some of those areas, and maybe Fornax, you're talking about, maybe it would fill in some of those maps around that kind of bowl around the Isle of Janthier, and we would go to that island at some point as part of some greater mystery. I think that would be really cool. Of course, I think you have to... We still want there to be a lot of impetus and excitement in the world. And with us having just gone so far afield into these wildly magical domains, I'll be really interested to see what they do to keep it exciting and to hook us with more stuff even in these regions, if they decide to go that route, right? In these regions that we are more familiar with. But that now we'll get to actually see in this modern context, 10 plus years down the road, in Guild Wars 2. So I think that could be a really cool area for them to focus on. Of course, we have no idea, though. For all we know, this forest could be on the human homeworld.
Yeah, right? And we just end up completely disappearing from the planet. Oh my god. That would be wild.
Yeah, it's an incredible. there's nothing. It's a lovely image, but this is the first time I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it on the live stream, and it's so. It's not. It doesn't. It's not. There's nothing that I can see right now that's kind of giving any hints as to. It's forest. There's a lot of forest interior. you know? So honestly, I hope that they go somewhere where we haven't been. I hope that they do again. They're brave again, and they just spin out in a new direction, because they've been very reverential to the law and referential to the law of the old world. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a veteran player. I enjoy it, but they kind of have to kind of step forward like they've done with Soto, and just take ownership of it, right? And just move the story forward. So I'm hoping that this is just a brand new location. Any world will do. Just roll the dice, roll a d20, and we'll just go there and just have some fun. I just want it to be fun, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Wonderful fun.
It's one of those things where I don't dislike that they give us little teasers like this, like an image or something, right? Because it does, I mean, here we are talking about it. So it does spark conversation in the community, and it at least gives us something, and that kind of tides us over. But sometimes I just wish that they would just
give us the
just
things.
earlier, just like earlier, actually give us a teaser. Like, give us a teaser trailer, or give us even like just a reveal of the logo with some music behind it or something, because it is hard, it's hard to read into an image like this. And I think too, with the image being like so ambiguous, in this case I looked at it and I was like, cool forest, all right. But like I don't really get a sense of where I think the story is going to be whisking me away to. I don't really get a sense much from this particular image. Now, we've had some stuff with like End of Dragons where the art that was released, of course, it confirmed, oh my gosh, it's definitely Cantha. It's Cantha. And like that was really exciting. Yeah. But like this just feels more like I kind of wish they'd given us something a little different, just so that I would have some greater hook into what I'm going to be excited about, especially as we see these other MMOs right now ramping up their media cycles. WoW just did this huge thing for War Within. ESO has been doing a big thing for the start of their upcoming expansion. They've had multiple stages of this. Dawn Trail coming out. We've gotten, a bunch of stuff recently about that. We had the FanFests, we had the live letter, we had the PAX panel, we had, so it's, we had the benchmark that just came out. So I just kind of wish that they would be a little bit more aggressive a little bit earlier with some of their marketing about new expansions. But I also get that maybe they don't want to detract from the fact that we still have a portion of Secrets of the Obscure to go. So I think maybe we'll see more of it after that's out, because then players will really truly be looking forward to the next expansion. But yeah, this didn't give us a lot to go off of on this one.
I got the new image for the expansion, the teaser. There you go.
And I found a larger version of it, so I can have it. There was nothing is jumping out at me as Easter eggy type.
See, this is the kind of image that I would like. That I put on the stream, like that would give it where you'd be like, oh, because isn't it that exact noise for next? I want to hear it next time. But like, is it September was it September that Soto came out? Next expansion is like not next expansion. Last part is in like 30 days, right?
Yeah.
And then every 3
like
months. So what, May, June, July, August, September, or ish. Yeah, like August, September, I guess.
So theoretically, Christmas-ish time for the next one, right?
No, like August, September time.
Oh yeah, Soap says was late August.
One. Oh yeah, there you go then. Yeah,
yeah.
so it'll be late August again for this expansion, or September latest. I mean, that's end of summer.
Yeah.
Still summer in a lot of places early September. Well, not technically, but like it's still like it's just the end of summer. And then it's fall, autumn. So you still got 3 months there. So yeah. When's Dawn Trail coming out for Final Fantasy?
When is Dawn Trail?
Yeah.
Dawn Trail is out end of June is when early access starts, June 28th, and it releases July 8th. Fully?
Okay. When did you find out about it?
Dawn Trail itself was revealed at the first Fan Fest. So that was North American Fan Fest, which was last July.
A year ago?
Yeah. And
Holy
then they
moly.
did.
I mean, I know their release cadence is different, but still, that's quite a...
Their release cadence is different. So it's an expansion every 2 years, and in the off year is usually, that's when they start the promotion cycle for the upcoming expansion that will be happening the next year, right? So they start July, and then we had EU Fan Fest later that year, September. I'm so bad at months. I'm so sorry, everybody. And then there was JP Fan Fest at the start of this year. And then and so on and so forth. And they reveal major things about the expansion at those events, which is kind of like why they do that big promotional circuit. And then they do stuff leading up to it, like the upcoming media tour that's going to be happening. And the benchmark, which is like a little playable dynamic trailer where you can create your character and see them in it and get like a little preview of how your PC will perform with the new requirements or whatever for the expansion.
Oh, that's cool. Oh,
yeah. Wow. So yeah, Guild Wars 2, I mean, they've always kind of been like this with their promotional cycles, but I thought maybe the transition and quick turnaround and everything else that was kind of happening with some of the turnover with like promotion and bringing new people in and stuff, I thought maybe with this expansion, they would be a little bit more aggressive with it, since with the last one, we got news about it very late in the cycle, but it seemed like there were a lot of other reasons with them switching to the new format and other stuff too. But...
I would like to see stuff before summer hits officially, at the very latest, because if you think about it in terms of so Final Fantasy does every 2 years, so you half that or to a year. I know it's different, I know it's not an exact science, and this is not something, but you could say that boils down to about 6 months before launch, right? Because it was it was almost a year for them before they launched it. So you could do I would say if you're doing expansions every year, I mean, even ESO that's been doing expansions every year does their preview in January, or they announce in January, and they don't release the expansion technically until summer, but you've still got the whole year of story, right? So you got the DLCs and stuff. So again, that's a bit different. So it's a bit difficult to compare and contrast because everyone's so different, and everyone has different flipping budgets and then all that kind of fun stuff.
Question.
Yes.
Is there anything wrong with promoting the next expansion?
Oh, sorry. I forgot the context.
Sorry. Do you think there's anything wrong, or do you think it would be detrimental to the live game to be promoting the next expansion during the kind of the transitional phase?
Well, that's true, right? We still haven't finished this one.
But there's nothing wrong with hyping it, because more hype drives people back into the game. Right. Oh, I want to get this, and I want to do that, and I want to get this while it's here, and there's going to be lots of people online, and more hype, more interest pushes people in. I know that there's a load of stuff happening with the War Within, and there's a load of stuff happening with a new iteration of Pandaria that's going to come out that looks amazing for World of Warcraft. I've been playing more WoW because I saw that and I was just hyped for all the stuff that's coming. So I jumped back into WoW.
What is it that made you hyped? Sorry, I missed that.
Sorry, there's the War Within. They've just released a load of interesting features, and they did a big dive with one of their main developers. And they've also talking about they're doing a classic server for Pandaria, but they've completely changed up the specs of it. It looks amazing. Pandaria is Pandaland was one of the best expansions. I'm going to have to be real, it's amazing. And it just made me so hyped. I wanted to go back in, and I played, and I got invincible. Not many people will know what that means, but it's a 1% mount drop chance for Atlas. And I finally got it after in the live game. So,
that's
so exciting!
Yay! Oh my God. That's really good.
It took me 15 years. It's fine, but
15
I still haven't got the Ashes of Alar though, so fuck off. But anyway, we're digressing here.
That's
but
okay.
no,
I'm
I
over
think
here. Go ahead.
We'll do that. Whip, whip. The war within Alpha Dells. Okay, sorry.
I was just going to commiserate about a mountain WoW I've tried for years to get and still haven't gotten that stupid Time Worn Proto Drake.
Oh god damn.
You're gonna have to link the stuff. The trailer. Oh, is it just a new trailer?
No, it's with I forgot his name. He used to be a solicitor, but then he went over to game development. I can't remember who he's the main game developer. He's the main game director. And they did a big interview. Sorry.
No, oh my gosh, you please you finish your thought first. I can wait patiently.
No.
I know how to wait. I can wait. Please continue.
Oh, is it
Go.
the War Within Alpha Dells feature overview?
Yeah.
That one about Dells specifically?
Well, it's about delves, and they did a huge spread about Pandaria as well, and they've got this new game type happening at the moment, which is basically like which has some awesome transmogs for your main live account, and they're just really doing some fun, interesting things with World of Warcraft. They've just kind of let loose and decided to just have fun with it, and I think it's amazing.
That is good. Yeah, they did a big thing. Muckluck was in the tournament for that, wasn't he?
He was, yes, which was exciting. Yeah, they ran a big tournament. They brought a bunch of different creators and stuff in and to play in it. And yeah, it's very cool, like seeing them even bring people in from other gaming communities to participate in it and get some kind of cross promotion. I mean, yeah, all of this to say we talk frequently about a lot of this stuff with Guild Wars 2 and promotion things. And they have been, just like we were talking about earlier, a lot better about various video visuals, about, releasing more of these kind of different types of social media and stuff like that. Perhaps now the big thing is looking at how they kind of ramp up and communicate things like these big expansions, because I agree with you, Fornax. I truly don't think there's any harm in advertising the new expansion while the old one is finishing up. If anything, I would do something where that initial promotion came out for the new expansion and there was a tag at the end that was like, and, catch up now by picking up Secrets of the Obscure, which is about to have its finale. And it's, 10% off or something right now. So like you could grab it and pick it up and get ready for the next one. I know like ESO does something as well where they usually put in some kind of little teaser quest type thing. Like in the epilogue or at the end of whatever current like little expansion they're finishing up with their year-long cycle, and then it's like a little catch thing that like gives you some cool cosmetic relating to the new expansion coming up, and it's kind of the like prologue leading into it, but it like bridges that gap between the old and the new, and like even that kind of gets people to come in and it gives them something kind of like that 14 benchmark that we were talking about, right, where they can kind of come in and do something and re-engage with the game and get excited for the new expansion. So I'm curious to see what this new expansion start is going to hold for Guild Wars 2, especially because we've had some things foreshadowed like end game content and all kinds of other stuff. Are we getting a return to raids? Are we getting it seems like there's going to be some cool features in this one. So I'd love it if they were hyping it up a little bit more. And I noticed the comment in chat as well that Thomas was saying, I feel like I'm kind of the oddball out. Honestly, I kind of wish that we would get stories that weren't so human-centric, basically, and that, maybe we could look at some other races and things. And I completely agree with that as well. I mean, we have so many little tidbits for all the other races that could be developed into whole expansions or could take us to new places and horizons where different groups of the population lived, or
dwarves,
even... Yeah, I mean, dwarves now exist. And,
Give me the dwarves.
The Masat. I mean, who wouldn't want to know what's happened to the rest of the Masat?
They just went down the road for a bit.
Living their best lives,
They just went down the road for a bit. Fornax. Down the pub, I'm looking at this. This is interesting. This is different. I don't ever remember seeing this kind of footage coming out from WoW and I know that there was all the issues with World of Warcraft and Blizzard, blah, blah, blah. But like we're talking critically about like release schedule and everything else. So this is and also people are genuinely excited about all of this stuff in the hopes that Blizzard are just improving as a company and doing better. It helps that Twatface is gone, but there's still a lot of people there who are very questionable human beings. But anyway, but yeah, that's cool. I think you're right. Like, you know, having that, because they still do have that problem with hyping up their own game. They have ever since Heart of Thorns, until after Heart of Thorns, which was we all talk about as still in the golden years. So like, you know, marketing, like, I know you weren't here for it, Rook, but good lord, it was so good. You've heard us talk about it so many times. I'm just like, I wish you were here for that. It was so good. I'm hoping, you know, they've got some newer folks in there as well, but also, you know, there is part of this, like, you know, NC Soft's influence and also how it works for Guild Wars 2. And they probably see it as, if we start spending money and doing all this kind of stuff, like, how it's going to benefit us. I understand that. But their game is doing pretty good as well. Like last year, right? Like, we know, as far as we know, but at the moment, I wonder how, after that rush of like people in the doors, I wonder how that has sustained player number wise, or I haven't really looked at earnings or anything recently, so I don't know. But you know, the earnings are also, you know, going to go down because there was an expansion, so that isn't even really that indicative of, you know, how well the game's doing. Oh wow, they're showing all the mounts. Holy moly! I've got this going on in the background, brother. I should have just put the video on. They're talking about these delves and stuff. It looks really interesting.
How much does it cost to get a bit of footage together of your game and sit and talk to someone like Rookery, for example, or you?
Yeah, or you.
Yeah, and just I'm not.
Sorry.
I don't think I qualify. But
what do you mean?
And just talk about and share what's happening, little tidbits of the game, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't require a huge marketing budget. They have a Twitch channel. They have an army of content creators who will talk about this stuff ad nauseum. They just need to like lift up their skirt and show a bit of thigh and just, you know, just get the community engaged.
Metaphors and analogies never cease to amaze me.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you're right.
A compliment.
And we saw that. We saw that, right? Leading up, we saw them lift up that skirt saucily leading up to End of Dragons, where they had essentially a media tour, right? So they did something very similar to the recent War Within. They had like a media embargo lift for a variety of content creators who have been sharing all the stuff that they got to preview about the expansion and, you know, information and tidbits and stuff. But we didn't see that with Secrets of the Obscure. And I don't know if they're going to do that again. They might. I'm sure they'll do some promotional events. But I really hope that for whatever the new expansion is, that they do something like that as well. As it is right now, if they really do only have like a 3 to 4 week advertising turnaround, you know, that's barely time to do anything except for maybe host a live stream and have some various promo trailers and things that go out. But, you know, End of Dragons, I think, was one of the best examples of kind of advertising cycles that we've had in recent history. And we got to actually see things like that incredible music live stream where they were talking about the music of End of Dragons and all this other stuff. And maybe the budget for all of that was too much, or they felt like, you know, it didn't work. But just like Fornax was saying, allowing some creators to get hands-on and, you know, share about that at a certain point, I think would even be good, because then they don't have to, you know, create and pay for all the production themselves. They have other people doing it. But I mean, all of this to say, right, we got this new feature this past week with this sort of fashion inspection, and we, you know that they've been working on quality of life. We know that we've switched to this new expansion format. They've hopefully taken a lot of feedback and things from it coming into this next one. So I think we're all just really ready to hear, you know, what's on the horizon, what's coming up, what can we expect. What were the takeaways from this new expansion format? And what is the finale of Secrets of the Obscure going to have in store? Because there's been a lot of good stuff along the way. It's just, always we want them to like share more so that everybody can feel that momentum. Because I definitely can tell there's been a bit of a dip with some of the energy in the community recently with the last couple of smaller releases that they did.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? So this is definitely this new feature. Please,
yes,
please.
you can. Of course you can.
I cry. All right.
Don't cry. I can't deal with more of that this week. I'm joking. I can.
Okay. So
what was that? Let me see that again, please.
That's my sad face. Look,
my God. What is
sad.
that? Okay. Random bubble thing next to your head. Is that a tear?
It's a tear.
Is that an
so
anime
sad.
thing?
It's sad tear. It is.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I like anime. I've actually been watching that like dungeon dinner, food, like culinary weird dungeon eating monsters thing that you guys were talking. It's really good. Anyway, so
I have no idea what that is.
It's really good. It's on Netflix. Although I do have a Crunchyroll.
Oh, the samurai thing, blue ninja thing.
The blue-eyed samurai is excellent. I did watch that. Thank you for the recommendation,
so good.
darling.
Yes, of course.
So good.
That was amazing.
Too many things.
Also, watch Shogun. If you haven't watched Shogun, amazing.
I haven't. I think it's because I've been trying to figure out how I can stream it, but I want to watch it very much.
A show?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's on Disney. Yeah. So good. So good. Excellent. Anyway, sorry. Totally digressing.
Yeah, we're just talking about shows right now. That's fine.
We are. So I was... I've literally been watching the Black Magus as well. Anyway,
Anyway. Yeah. I love that earlier we were saying that without Boots or Kroof, we don't get derailed, and here we are.
And I was like, we got two ADHD people here, and actually now this is maybe it's worse. Could be worse.
Okay, look,
I don't know.
I got my list.
Worst is also subjective because it could be better. It's like that emo. Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So.
Go on.
No Shogun. No anime. We were talking about quality of life feature, right?
Yes.
Which is the inspect function to have a look at the fashion wars. But as a wildly neurodivergent person, there are some things that I would like to see introduced to the game, and I just thought that we could maybe talk about that for 5 minutes before we GTFO and people go and eat and do
You want to
things
talk about other quality of life things that would be cool? Sure, that sounds great. Yeah, we were going to do that. That was going to be part of the conversation we had today, and I forgot because we ended up going into the realms of expansion stuff, and now I'm inspecting your character again. So cool, carry on.
Okay. Yeah, I did like teleport so you could.
You did. I saw that. I was like, who is this person following me?
I'm trying to be a good helper here. I get a gold star this week for and my notes. So. Things that I would like to see that I was quite surprised that the game doesn't already have is a colorblind mode for players.
Yeah.
Sure. They don't actually.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And also
do they?
A text to speech.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's especially for games like 14 as well, especially when Orange is talking at any point, it would be nice to have a text-to-speech button just to press. It doesn't have to be AI-voiced, stealing actors' jobs. I don't support that in any way, shape, or form. But just a generic human text person speaking, so that for people who struggle with big blocks of text, and people who are in a second language. Well, yeah, it's just a function that I think would allow a better immersion for the story. Because I know a lot of people, it's just they look at the text and they go click, 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 click. Just
I would like a narrator. That would actually be nice. I would appreciate that massively. I know. Thankfully, Guild Wars 2's text isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah. True. But that does bring us to the fact that a lot of the UI is not customizable. So that would be another quality of life that I think would be great.
Good point.
be able to move party list or have different display options for how it appears. So that you can actually see your squads and stuff like that, or see player names with them or not, or so that you can move, target, like the target bar, whoever you're targeting somewhere else on the screen,
really
have that
good.
kind of stuff. I think that would be really nice for a quality of life. I mean, of course, the big one as well is controller integration. I would really love if they had supported controller integration. Of course, with Steam, there is some integration with that, but it would be so excellent if the game itself just had some kind of controller adapting thing with it already, because I think so many people would like to use that, whether just for their own preference or for even accessibility. That's one that came to mind for me.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good stuff. Right, I'm saying, is this going to work? I don't think this looks going to look good on me. No, it doesn't.
Sorry. It looks much better if you use the die. You have to have Shadow Abyss
really?
for this one.
Oh, just Shadow Abyss everywhere though.
Basically,
There's a
with a bit of
highlight
darkness.
of Godless.
Yeah, the darkness is to get out the silver. Anyway, sorry.
The entire band made a preview.
Yeah.
They just came.
I had a drinking game when I was doing some of my fashion wars. But every time I used Shadow Abyss, people had to take a drink. I feel like I killed somebody that week, but it's fine.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's better.
Let's see. What are some other quality of life things that I'd like to see them do?
I swear we talk about this so many times and I've forgotten.
Yeah, we have. We've talked about it in different contexts.
Let me just play the game for a second to see if there's anything they can improve.
Well, I mean, so it's visual noise is a lot of the thing that happens in this game.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to be able to turn down everybody else's skills apart from the boss, who you need to see telegraph, and your own skills, because it's nice to see your own. And I would like to see a unification of colors. So Final Fantasy does fantastically well unification. Enemy telegraphs are all one color. You know if it's an enemy, you know if you're standing in the fire. At least that's been my experience. And
not many people do though, so there is that.
but in Guild Wars 2, there isn't that unification. So I think that beneficial spells should have a color. Player aggro spells should have a color, and boss aggro or enemy aggro should have a color as well. So any and even if it's only to the other player, it's just so that it delineates it clearly what is beneficial and what is detrimental. I think that would be great for me.
True. Really said a good one in chat. Yeah, gear sorting. Is it an inventory sort button would be really useful for me right now. Oh my god.
I mean, we've mentioned it before. It would be nice to have cosmetic look plates, right? So like we have the gear sets that you can do, but it'd be nice to have something that would be more of the, like, a cosmetic look that you could have all assembled, done, the dyes on there, and then you could like preload that in on different characters.
Like you've got builds and the build templates or the equipment templates, you just have a fashion template in the wardrobe area.
Yeah, like that would be super nice.
Oh man, that would be so good. Yeah, I tend to sometimes not play builds because I haven't got the right look for it, and I'm like, I could just swap it, like actually literally just make it again, but I'm like, no, that would be way too smart. Come on now, please. I ain't got time for things like that.
Oh, here's another one. It would be nice if you could do the same with character CC presets. So you could save a preset of a character or a character design. And then when you went into the character creator, you could just like load that look of that character.
I thought you meant crowd control, and then I was like,
no, sorry, I'm so sorry.
Presets for crowd control? Yeah, I definitely want to CC that guy every time. I'm pretty sure I do. Like, please remember that I want to do it so I don't have to. That'd be great.
That'd be great. What would be some other quality of life things? I'm like scrolling through my brain right now.
That's what I really like the inventory sort button. Would be really, really, really good. I mean,
bank sort.
Oh, bank sort as well.
Oh yes.
Bank sort would be good. I would love it if we talked about the UI customization, right? One thing is if you can't see like the specific names of the players with different things. Even if you had some kind of mode where you could toggle on different colors for different players' job or whatever, they like, you know how like in WoW,
Classes, yeah.
like Paladin is pink and stuff like that, where like if you have a big block of party members, like we have the little icons for those classes,
Yeah,
but I gotta be honest, I am lucky if I remember any of the icons. Like I always have to sit there and like scroll over and I'm like, oh, what are they playing? What is this? So having something like that would be nice as well. I
was talking about this last week because I was completing a map and I was doing the achievements for Maguma Wastes, etc. because of Heart of Wands. But there was map events coming up either on the big map or being on your mini map at a larger range. So you can see them. So you're in a zone like this, for example, on your map, and you can see the events on the map so that you can go to events if you want to. I know that maybe defeats the idea of like exploring the map, but maybe that's something that unlocks from doing leveling to AE or something. I don't know, but like I would like to see events on the map itself, on the actual map, rather than just locally, because sometimes I want to go and play around in the maps and do events, or like do some of my Astral Claim and stuff and make it a bit easier, and it'd be cool. And it's not like it would be a weird feature to have in the game. They already have like really long range communicators which go between different realms and stuff. Like, do you know what I mean? It seems like they could invent a system where, like, you know, maybe Timey could do it. Where they literally like, now you have a bigger range of how far away you can see events. Oh, really, Timey? Yeah. That's like the most rubbish invention you've come up with so far. But it's really helpful because I kind of need that. But like, you have invented way better stuff. Why wasn't this like in your kind of repertoire earlier, please? She'll be like, well, I was, 2 years old. When you're in Cortera or something like that. I don't know.
Generally telegraphing side content and interesting content on the maps is something that we've talked about on numerous occasions. Just think about End of Dragons into the Echo Val Forest and all the different secret little hidden places, weird little puzzles, things like that, that if you don't actually take the time, you can roll through there, not have to do any of that, miss everything, and get spat out onto the End of Dragons map, and you're done. And it's such a shame that there's so much hidden content throughout Tyria, and it's so sad because the devs have taken the time, they've crafted this world, they've crafted these interesting quests and interesting stories and little things happening, and you go by at the wrong time, or you're just not paying attention, and you're bounding across on your especially with mounts now, you can traverse these maps so quickly. I feel like it's not that I'm saying that every NPC needs a bloody exclamation mark above their head. It's not like we need this everywhere, but you need something to kind of communicate all the content that's there, because 50% of the game is hidden in the UI, and they have to figure out some way to either direct people to it, to the achievements panel, or to get it out of the UI onto the map in some capacity via different NPCs or something like that.
Very cool.
So, yeah,
that would be a good one to get in there. Dear. What else? Anyone in chat, welcome to give us suggestions. But there is a lot of room to. Taco Mod already does that. I mean, the Taco Mod is a little bit more, I would say, more of a. I feel like the Taco Mod is kind of it's just an overlay telling you where she is, and like because it's external as well. It's like I don't feel like that needs to be in the game. I think that can be an external thing, but I would say allowing people to mod the game like they do for ESO, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy. But does Final Fantasy 14 have mods?
No, 14 is extremely 14 is public facingly extremely against mods and terms of service. Says you can't use them.
Fair.
That's not to say that there aren't people who still make them.
Yes, that's very true.
But technically, if you are caught with them, you lose your account, or your account might be suspended. So
Going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
There is literally a text-to-speech mod that you can have in the game, but you have to download a different launcher, which I refuse to do. I'm just not going down that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mod Stardew Valley. That's the limit. Okay, that's my, because it's very stressful. Stardew Valley is very stressful for me. That time constraint is just too much, man. It's too much. Anyway.
Okay. Well, and is there anything else on everyone? Because we could cut it short there for today. I mean, it's not short. We're still done in like an hour and a half almost. So, yeah.
We could. I'm trying to think if I mean, other than some of the UI
there's
stuff,
so many things that we've talked about in the past. I can't really remember.
But I mean, quite honestly, I think they've been addressing a lot of things, which has been great too. We've seen some good changes. Anything else that we think would be good for quality of life in Guild Wars 2? I would like it maybe if more things were more easily, like, you could understand what they were for more easily. Now, I don't know how to, like, we have the Wikipedia, we have these other resources, but I do find that inventory wars in Guild Wars 2 are pretty intense, and that a lot of times you end up with a lot of stuff where you're just like, I don't know what half of this is about. You know what I mean?
Welcome
and, like,
to my inventory, everyone, where like, you can see that exactly on screen. And
even if you, like, sorry, go ahead.
Is this an item I need?
Yes.
Is it for a collection? Is it for this? It should say safe to just sell.
Oh, I mean, there is that on some stuff, right?
Yeah.
But not a lot.
Yeah, like, and I think there are probably some maps and old maps and other things too, where they could most likely, looking ahead to quality of life stuff, cut out some of the things that are on those maps, or some of the weird, extremely niche drops, or, you know, stuff like that, and instead kind of unify a bit more, or, like, you know, convert some of those systems to more karma-centric, or whatever they wanted to do with it, to kind of, like, streamline and unify a little bit, and then make other things kind of stand out more with what they are used for, or how they're, like, that's something that I could see being useful to me, because even sometimes if I look on the Wikipedia, I'll read the entry about, like, something that's in my inventory, and I'm like, and that does what? And like, I'll go down this rabbit hole where I'm like clicking 50 things, and then it's like, oh, I think I could maybe use this at some point if I ever decide to do this thing, but then I have to also do like a million other things. So it's interesting, because we've seen them touch on this a bit with like the dungeon currencies and stuff, right? So I do think that's something that they could still keep doing. Oh, and with that in mind, although we've mentioned this one in the past before as well, I'd love to see them continue some of the touch-ups on old content that they started pre-End of Dragons. Things like the final fight for Dragon Stand, for example, and stuff like that, where it would be nice to see a little bit of like rebalancing, tuning, or like addressing of certain things. You know, if this is an area where maybe we shouldn't have mounts for this, or something like that. I think that could be really nice to see too. I guess that counts as quality of life.
Absolutely. No, you're so right. Especially Dragonstone is such a huge example of how the mastery creep of damage has just destroyed the encounter. So if you're coming through for the very first time and you're trying to have the epic experience of battling the dragon, it kind of kills it for you if it's dead before you've even jumped to a different platform. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, but I don't think we can underestimate how important and how many people bounce off the UI. I mean, you said it straight away, but there really needs to be some update to that. And I also think that, and it's something that we've bashed on about forever, is quality of life, proper looking for group, proper auto queuing, so that people can get into content. Because as much as people talk about these quality of life features destroying community and community building and people talking to each other, there's so many introverts. I would be interested to see a survey of introverts versus extroverts in MMOs, and people, and also people being nervous, especially the first few times getting into it. We were talking about how much I really enjoyed the NPC system, dungeon system that they have in 14, and how I was hoping that they would put that into well, this game, but into 3 if it happens, so that it gives players who are hesitant to group the ability to do content, right? And all these, it's kind of removing restrictions, and you don't have to be the person who sets up the group and then organizes it, and then you're stressing because it's all going to fall apart, and oh my god, do I get this person and that person? And it sounds silly, but it's quite stressful when you're wanting to do something and you don't want to be a pain in the ass to other players, and that's where these auto grouping systems can be so nice. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean, I've met people in auto grouping systems that I've gone on to play with for years and years because they were so nice and we had such a great time and we had such a laugh doing the dungeon together that we would have never met any other way. So it's a double-edged sword. So I really hope that they consider it, at least. Fingers
Looking
crossed.
for group is a bit like a blind date friend finder. Kind of is a bit like that, but not date. I just need to add blind date to it so everyone knew what I meant.
So is it like Tinder? Is it like, because I've never been on any of these kind of...
No, it's not like Tinder.
It's not like Tinder. Okay, fine.
It's more like you don't know who you're getting matched up with. And it could be a really good experience. Or you could get catfished.
Okay.
Because the tank is actually a damaged dealer.
I feel that dungeon and wept.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had people like roll up and tank in like squishy gear and been super, super sad. Super salty Phonax. Yes, definitely.
And you're playing healer?
I apparently always, yeah. Because I hit myself, it would seem.
And then you get the blame.
Yeah, of course. Heal me, bitch. Fuck you. Stop standing in the fire and put some pants on, you man.
Yeah. I'm naked. Come on now. Give me all the skills and all the defense in the world. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Nothing
Just play
can hurt
fucking
me.
Dark Knight if you want to be an edgelord tank. But
There
just
you go.
put some tanking gear, for fuck's sake. Anyway, yeah.
Cool.
Adventures.
Right.
Oh, here's one.
Mm-hmm.
This one's so out of left field. What about an update or refresh for the Mystic Forge?
Ooh.
So the Forge functions, right? You have things that you do with it and you put the stuff in and it makes a thing. But I've always felt like the Mystic Forge feels like this kind of weird other thing that, especially as a new player coming into it, you're just like, I could not tell you what this does. Like when you're new and you first like are showing up there, right? If they really wanted to do something where they contextualize that more and use it moving forward, they could kind of like reformat it and have some new quest that's like, you know, the Wizard's Forge, right? We have the Wizard's Vault, but like you could do something now with like the Wizard's Forge where they kind of recontextualize it, where you get in there and there's some initial quests about like a log or an interface or something where you can see like all of the relics that, you know, maybe you can uncover or things like that, like in a sense, like, and then, you know, he tells you like to go out and look for these things or look for components for them or whatever. And maybe there's some additional system where you can get hints on things. And we know that technically now that we know there are some wizards, there are some mystic toilet things that we like people still haven't even found to this day. So like having something kind of like how in ESO with archaeology, right? It is its own sort of thing, and it has this like mini game and other stuff with that. Maybe with the Mystic Toilet, you could have a bit more of a framing where, like, as a new player, you get introduced to it, and then you could start these kinds of collections or things, and different zones could have, you know, new discoverable items if you went through and you did events and there was a chance that you could get these things that dropped from them or pieces or from the meta or whatever, and you could use them in that. But like, it would actually kind of show you more or give you kind of hints about some of that, or like allow you to choose to uncover hints or expand on it, right? And then in the future, you could add different features to it where it becomes more of a thing that's kind of prevalent, where maybe eventually you even get like a little tutorial blurb about using it for legendaries or stuff as well. But that's kind of a thing that just exists, that there are some skins and things that you can get from it, but it's kind of this weird ambiguous thing that you sort of have to learn about through player context, and that, as far as I know, hasn't been updated as much more recently, other than like using it for legendary things. And maybe I'm just talking out of my butt, but like, that's one thing that as I think about it, I'm like, I feel like there's a way that you could make this more of a thing and actually use it to your advantage in future stuff and give people additional ways to collect pieces of things. Like, I'm thinking like how archaeology and ESO, right? Like, they have the small things you can just get immediately as you dig around, but then there are like the bigger things where you have to go around and you dig up like 5 pieces of this relic, and then when you put it together you get a mount or something, right? I think with something like the Mystic Forge, they could cushion it more within the greater kind of lore of the world, give you a bigger framework and like additional kind of questing collection stuff with it, so that it felt more like a directed part of the game and like a feature of the game, as opposed to just sort of this thing that you use sometimes when you need to dump some stuff in to get pieces for a thing.
That's amazing. I absolutely love that. And they've got all the assets. They've got Zamaros. They've got all the assets. You can literally go there in the raid, isn't it? The additions.
Yeah.
I've been there. I have tanked there. God help those poor bastards. But that would be amazing. Just imagine you jump into the forge. You actually jump into the raid, and it's an instance version of it that's for storytelling. And he could send you off through his labyrinthian domain to actually like explore, and you'd be running around with the script, and it could be a whole storyline just for people to get to know how to use the forge, and just to have fun and get to know this like enigmatic character. Because when the game first released, nobody knew what he looked like. We really didn't know what the Jinn were going to look like until Path of Fire. And no, I genuinely hope that somebody clips this and sends this to the people, and that this happens, because that's such an amazing idea. They've got all these beautiful, weird little niches in the game that they could make into all sorts of things. There's so many little areas like that, and you're so right. That's such a brilliant, genius idea, Han. Absolutely amazing.
I'm glad. You know, every now and then I get at least one good idea. I think that could be something that you could like repurpose. I agree. And I think, to me, that would also serve as a quality of life in addition to a new feature, because I think, like we've talked about, there are some systems and things that are in the game that feel maybe a little bit more inaccessible or a little bit more obtuse than others. So like, looking at those things that they could, you know, continue to kind of contextualize or, you know, reformat in a way that they would be more hands-on and approachable and directed for players, I think would be a nice addition to what we have, and help people get plugged in. So I think that's all I got. I don't know if there's any. I'm sure there's a million other things we could list.
I can't
Quality
think
of
of
life
anything right now. I'm gonna actually shift us to the end.
Yeah.
I think for today, but because that's a good place to end. Lovely. We talked about content. We talked about the inspect feature, quality of life. My brain is not there today. And also ideas and thoughts a little bit based on the recent news we got in terms of the little cheeky screenshot, the expansion. It's going to be in the forest. There's going to be a forest there, according to Phonics. It looks like a forest.
Definitely.
So
Can confirm arboreal expansion, just about trees. We're gonna save the forest, people. You heard it here first.
We're going to say the Viper? The Silvari?
Yeah.
Ugh.
No.
We've had too much.
Forest. Stop people, not the forest. No, carry on.
Don't
It's
stop
fine.
the forest
It's
itself, but
definitely
stop people from...
Yeah.
So it's like Fern Gully, basically?
Well, it's a hiking expansion, clearly. And you have to carry a
so
little
it's like
boot
Death
bag,
Stranding,
leave
Guild
no
Wars.
trace. Yeah. Walking simulator, definitely, yeah.
I'm not gonna
Amazon
lie.
at the end of the world.
I think there's a way that could be fun. I don't know how an MMO would sell us on it, but I think there's a way it could be fun to have a hiking expansion. With like some new traversal things and group help things and like a dangerous, treacherous environment you had to learn and like resources or stuff like that you could even like leave
Hypothermia
in places.
mechanic. Having to like
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And you have to carry your poop out, so you have to have like special poop bags because you
Are
have
you
to
talking
leave
about
no
like a
trace.
new game now that's also not
No,
Guild
like
Wars 2?
It would be like a survival
Just be a
expansion for an
survival.
MMO. Yeah, where you'd have
definitely.
like some new mechanics in the zones and stuff that you could work on. I don't know. I think that could be kind of
Yeah.
cool.
There you go.
And the
Some new
legendary
horizontal progression.
Patagonia gear, like you get your Patagonia gear, it's like the top tier, right?
Oh my god. Okay.
None of that North Face shit, guys. None of that North Face shit. No.
I've been seeing that more. I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Phonex, tell us what you do, where you do it. Where can people find you?
Hey. Yeah. Okay, so hey, I'm Phonex. I'm the Crichton Herald. You can find me over on YouTube. I make content for MMOs, Guild Wars 2, and I'm starting a full playthrough of Final Fantasy 14. God help me. All that fucking text, but it's going to be worth it. Yeah. That's me.
And then we never saw
love me.
Phonex again.
Yeah. Sucked into the void.
Please go follow their stuff. All of their links will be in the description below as well. Rookery? That's what you do. What you do it.
Yeah. What I do is video game stuff, particularly with MMORPGs, but I do love RPGs, JRPGs, CRPGs, TTRPGs. I really just love a good role-playing game, and I love them even more when we can play them together in whatever capacity. I mostly do a lot of Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14. I've been playing Final Fantasy 9 recently. We've had a little more variety and other things as we've had a little bit of patch content lull between expansions, but things are ramping up again. We've got releases on the horizon for all our games like we talked about today, so a lot's going to be happening, so keep an eye out. But if I'm not live on my own channel, did I already say that? Twitch.tv Rookery. You can find me. There we go. You can also find me on YouTube at Rookery, and you can find me on Twitter at Rookery_. You can find me here on this podcast on 8th Right Radio for Final Fantasy 14, and keep an eye out. There are some exciting events coming up that I can't announce yet, but that we'll be talking about hopefully soon-ish. That'll be happening over the course of the next month with all this hype that's going on for our favorite games, and I can't wait to experience and share and get hyped with everybody through those and through our own playthroughs.
Nice. Please go and check out Rook and all of their things in the description. Otherwise, you can check out the Guild Wars 2 Lightbringers Podcast on Spotify. You can also check us out on anchor.fm/JebroUni. I don't know why I did that. It makes no sense. But you can also just Google Lightbringers GW2 Podcast, and you'll find us everywhere. You'll be able to find so many episodes. This is the 22nd episode of Season 3. We won't be here. Probably not going to have one next week, unless really something really big happens. But next week, the week after, we'll be returning. We're gonna have a week off, but we will see you soon. And you can watch all of the other episodes if you've not seen them before. And even if you have seen them before, there's so many damn hours that you will definitely laugh your ass off again if you go and watch them. And chuck us a review if you can. Otherwise, I'm Jebro. This is Rookery. This is also Phonex. We'll see you next time on the Lightbringers Guild Wars 2 podcast. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
So nice to see you. And thank you for joining us live as well. 1 p.m. Pacific on a Friday when we're here, not having a day off. Bye.